Hello everyone, I am Saket Bansal back with another episode of PMP Exam Prep Power Hour. And I understand it takes few seconds before you start getting my feed. And as usual, we want to talk about a particular topic to start with. And then we will discuss various questions related to your PMP exam preparation. Our objective of this Power Hour series is to clarify some of the tricky topics of your PMP exam and also give you a platform where you can discuss some of your queries related to the same topic or something else so that you get certified faster. Not only get certified, probably you develop a better understanding of project management by having these conversations. So let me just check how it is going on the LinkedIn and YouTube. So I can see the LinkedIn is still pushing my feed. Yes, it's there. Yeah, so I'm good with it. And I can also see that YouTube is also live. We, we can put this particular thing at a mute level. So we start talking about our topics. So from last 3 sessions, primarily, I'm talking about agile related things because we have been getting many requests from the professionals. Say the predictive life cycle is well covered. We study from PMBOK and there are many sources. Or better we talk about agile. And the agile topic, the trickiness is if I go through a pure agile books, they will talk about agile, but they will not talk about how the agile is getting used in projects. So I personally feel there is no comprehensive content which can tell us how to use agile in project ways of working. Whatever I'm sharing based on my understanding of PMP exam content outline, my understanding of project management, and my understanding of agile teacher, because I have been teaching agile related topics also for a while. More than 10 years, I teach Scrum, Kanban, Skilled Agile frequently. Yeah. So mixing all these things probably will help you in knowing how probably Agile or Scrum can get used in the project context. So we started talking about product backlog in our previous episodes. Then we explored the Agile meetings. And then we also spoke about the Agile roles in just the previous one, the episode 22. That was a pretty interesting session. We looked at Scrum Master / project manager, product owner / project manager. So we look at all those possible roles inside the project. And today I'm talking about some of the artifacts. I'm not claiming that I will cover all the possible artifacts, but these artifacts are usually the one which you see frequently in the PMP exam content. May not necessarily all belongs to Scrum, may not necessarily all belongs to Scaled Agile or any particular safe or agile way of working, but they are generically used. Sometimes they are present, sometimes they are absent in a given framework. But for a PMP exam, we should be aware of these artifacts. So that's the topic which I am starting with. And we will follow the Q&A related to this topic or something else. But inside the boundary of project management, that's the focus for us today. Yeah. So let's get started. And I have prepared some reminder for myself, like banners, which will help me to keep talking about various artifacts. So first artifact I'm talking is a product backlog. So what is this thing? The first artifact I'm talking about is product roadmap rather than a product backlog. Now, say inside our project, we have a project boundaries. We start with a project charter, which gives us a high level idea, and then we will evolve the requirement because we are focusing on adaptive life cycle and we will achieve project objectives. But in the agile way of working, there could be a product which could be at a higher level than project. It might have multiple series of project in future, but there is a direction the product is going into. And we usually start with having a product level vision. And there is a kind of a path which is laid out, which will take us to achieve that particular vision. And that particular path is called product roadmap. The roadmap may be covering multiple projects, multiple years, but it gives the team, the project manager, stakeholders, a high level picture that how are we going to evolve this particular product. And it may be going through the initial introduction phase, later on maturity phase, later on even growing and probably declining phase also over a period of time. But over the goal of a roadmap is to achieve the vision. Example I keep giving in my classes. For example, you have a vision of reaching to creating a carpooling app which will have a 1 million subscriber. So that could be your vision. But you may start with, I will start with a corporate carpooling app, then I will go into a specific area carpooling app, and then I will go for a global, and then probably I will achieve my vision of 1 million subscribers. So you put those kind of milestone and put a direction using some high level estimation as in collaboration with product owner. Usually the product owner is the one who will maintain this roadmap, or there is a team which is working directly on a product level. You as a project manager is more like a consumer of it. You ensure that your stakeholder understands it and you also understands it, and we all understand it in a common manner. That is called product roadmap. So in a simple word, it is not a plan. It is not equivalent to your Gantt chart. I'm using project management language because our audience are project management people who are learning Agile. So it is not equivalent to your project plan. It is not equivalent to your Gantt chart. You can use a Gantt chart to present it. There is no problem with that. But it is something which is showing high level view, which will go for multiple years and may go beyond the project boundaries. And that is called product roadmap. If you have any question, keep typing. We will take them as we go along. But as of now, I am just going with one by one topics. So once the roadmap is done, then I talk about release plan. A release plan, or I think I missed creating the sticker for product backlog, but I think I need to talk about product backlog before I talk about anything else. So first artifact was product roadmap, which we discussed. The second which I'm discussing is product backlog. We had a detailed session about it before. So product backlog is again at a product level. It may go beyond the project boundaries. Yeah? And it is primarily focusing on, as per today's visibility, what all we want to develop in this particular product. The items could be at a high level. Some of the items which will come after multiple years. Some of the items which are coming nearby will be at a fine-grained, well-understood level. You can say refined level. So it is something, a collection of ideas, wishes, features, which you have in your mind, which you want to implement at some point in time in the product. Who are you? Product owner, or someone who is maintaining the product level direction. As we discussed in our previous class, if I use a word product owner, that's the right person to do it. If the product owner name is missing in your exam question, you can say customer also. So customer might maintain the product backlog if the equivalent to a product owner, or you may have a sponsor maintaining it, but the preferred word for maintaining the product backlog will be product owner. So product backlog will make the product roadmap reality. Yeah. So we have a high level vision. We have things we will do, which we are putting into the roadmap. And if we plot it against the timeline and we say that over a period of time, we are going to achieve that particular goal, that things will become a product roadmap. Yeah. So this is interrelated, but that's the another artifact. The another interrelated artifact is a release plan. So you can say inside my product backlog, I may have 100 items. And in my roadmap, I can say that these 100 items may take 5 releases before we finish them. But for upcoming release, so say I want to release a corporate carpooling app. That's my first introductory release 1.1. That's something I give a name to it. What all items out of my product backlog, I want to make it available. What all features, what all requirements you want to get it done in order to achieve that particular release. So inside your product backlog, you will mark them, yeah, and say this all is going as a release 1 or release 1.1. So in a simple word, you can say that I may have an additional column in my product backlog if you visualize it as an Excel sheet, and you may say that I will identify some of the items which will go in a particular release. Yeah, so that's a starting point. You can say I have a release subset of product backlog as a release backlog. Now, after having this release backlog, you as a product owner may collaborate with project managers, scrum masters, and other agile teams and other stakeholders and come up with an estimation of those elements of work and do a projection. And this projection could be a multi-month projection talking about that this is how these 20 items will get done in an upcoming iteration / sprints, and we will achieve the release goal in say 5 or 3 months. That is your release plan. So release plan reflects the subset of the product backlog which is planned for a given release. Number one, it also shows the plan or a high level direction of multiple time interval. We usually measure the time interval with the help of iteration or sprints, and we show that in these time interval we are going to do these particular stuff, and this is how we are going to make a release happen. That thing is called release plan. Project manager is expected to play a role here, facilitative role here. The prioritization of the items, what items goes inside it, is basically by the product owner. The estimation should be done with the people who are expected to do the work. So team is going to involve to estimate and identify dependency and sequence the work. So it's a collaborative thing which is done in the consultation of product owner, team, and Scrum Master, if there is a facilitation done by the Scrum Master, if that is also possible. And overall, once this artifact is there, project manager ensures the stakeholders understands it and we use it for various communication. So that could be your release plan. Yeah. So in your PMP exam perspective, I'm not saying that release plan is there in Scrum. I'm not saying release plan is there in something else, Scaled Agile, Kanban, or anything. I'm just saying that this is how we should visualize it for PMP exam. Yeah. We can have a multiple releases in a project. That something is obviously, I think, understood by all of you. Now, going further, so there are 3 artifacts which usually comes when we talk about requirement: user stories, features, and epics. Now, these things are not very standardized. If I'm using Scrum, I may only have a user story. I may not use a user story also. I can work in a Scrum without using user story as well. So let's understand the context rather than saying that this is something we create in the Agile. Yeah. So it is not another document which you create in Agile. It is not a replacement of something which you used to do before as a predictive lifecycle. You can say in Agile way of working, we want to talk about requirement incrementally. That's the goal. We want to create requirement in such a small piece so that in a given time box, we can finish it. Yeah, that's the goal. Now, how do we achieve that? So user story work as an instrument to facilitate incremental requirement exploration, incremental requirement discussion, and incremental requirement implementation and delivery. Yeah. So we create small slices of the requirement which can be done in a given time box of our iteration. That tool is called user story. Now you look at a slide and slide tells you, it talks about as a user, I want to do something so that I achieve it. That's a little template mechanics of it, but first we need to go with the goal. Now, what is the mechanics tells us? It tells it should be from the user perspective. It should be a slice of requirement. It is not like I want to make a code. It is not like I want to do a test. It should be always focusing on stakeholder wants to do something and we create that small slice and implement it. That is called user story. Now, where you put it? In a product backlog. Yeah. And by implementing these user stories, you will achieve release plan. Yeah. And by doing that, achieving the release objective, you will work on a product roadmap. And ultimately, you will achieve the product vision. Yeah. That's the correlationship between all of them. Now, your product backlog may not have all the ideas in a very well understood small piece, can be developed in an incremental manner. Yeah. So not everything which we have in a roadmap, we can put in a user story format. We may have some high level idea, which we want to just put as a reminder and as a placeholder. And we can say, we will talk about it later. So say I may want to have a dashboard reporting, but as of now, I'm not thinking of implementing dashboard reporting, but I want to have an identification of it. That thing in our project management language or in our Agile language is called epic. So epic is something which is significant, which is something can be understood as a big thing we will do. And over a period of time, as we go towards the implementation of it, we will slice it and we'll definitely create a user stories out of it. We never want to work on a big requirement because that is not about Agile. Agile want to make sure that we work incrementally in small pieces. That's the whole intention. But we also understand that small pieces may not get evolved in a one go. They will go progressively elaborated. So initially we put the requirement in a big format, a big placeholder, less refined at an outline level only, and that thing is called epic. Yeah, that particular identification of requirement which is at an outline level, which is not well refined, is called epic. So whenever you see a word epic in your PMP exam, you understand it's a high level requirement given, which will get elaborated over a period of time in a backlog refinement process. Yeah, as a thing, product owner should do it. The people who owns the requirement will be guiding that. And over a period of time, it will get sliced into the user story. So that's an epic, and then finally a user story. Now, sometime in between something comes, and that is called features. It's not very standard. It's not like every Scrum team will have a user story, features, and epics. But if it is coming in your PMP exam question, then I understand the feature is something in between It is in between the epic to the user story. Now, what is the intention? So say you have a big requirement and you want to implement very small requirement. That's also obvious, we understand that. But stakeholder may not want to understand or get into this small requirement detail. They're saying, tell us something which we can understand. Don't tell us very small things which you are doing at a 2, 3, 4 days level. But at the same time, tell us well. It is not a high level idea. Refine it well, but at a bigger level. And for that particular need, sometimes we come up with a feature. So say, I want to develop a search functionality in my e-commerce website. And so the understanding of search, my end users, my stakeholder wants to see as a whole. They will say, okay, this is how the search look like. These are the type of options search should have. This is how the result should come out. And they want to explain it as a one understandable feature. But when I will start developing it, I understand this whole thing cannot be developed in a given time box of 2 weeks. So what I will do, I will create small user stories out of it. Say search by title, search by rating, search by etc. And that will be something called user story, which I will be implementing on a progressive basis. Now, many a time people comes and says, okay, I'm a project manager, I understand this. Is it not something which we call it work breakdown structure? So if I say work breakdown structure, there is an epic, there is a feature, and then inside it I create user story. Should not I say that it's a different WBS only? The answer is no. Reason being, the work breakdown structure is expected to be created in a one go. This is happening progressively. And it is also something which is evolving. We don't want to have a very crystal clear hierarchical traceability. There is a possibility some epics may get deleted. They will never get converted into features and user story. In a work breakdown structure, we assume every element will get broken down and will implement them. So there is a 100% rule which we follow. Here, we can say it's a placeholder, level 1, level 2, level 3, you can say that. But this is something happening dynamically, and I should not be equating it as a well-created work breakdown structure, and only when all the user stories will get completed, I will mark the feature done, and then only I will mark the epic done. It may looks like that, but since it is happening in an incremental manner, you should not be equating it with the work breakdown structure. So that's again PMP style explanation of it. Now, last two, and I know there are some questions already here, and then we talk about your things. So iteration plan / sprint plan / sprint backlog. Sometimes this also becomes another artifact in your PMP thing, you see it. So what's the story? You have a product backlog, which is a big thing, which has a lot of elements to it. You also want to work in an incremental manner. We have a time box, which is called sprint or iteration. And for a given time box, we want to take some of the element from the product backlog, which are high priority, and team believes they can finish it in a given time box, looking at their boundary. So they pick that element and then they do further refinement of it, which makes it easy for them to implement it. They may use technical language. They want to have it manageability, estimatability, assign, tracking, all those things, whichever is relevant for the team. So they may create their work plan, a working plan for a given 2 weeks as a sprint duration. And that thing is called iteration plan, sprint plan, or a sprint backlog. So you can say the iteration plan / sprint backlog, life is limited to that sprint duration only. Once the sprint is over, that backlog is over, because we will look at a product backlog again. Even if something is remaining pending, it will go back into the product backlog rather than remaining into the sprint backlog alone. And we keep making every beginning of the sprint the refreshed work plan for upcoming sprint. We maintain that plan throughout the sprint to make sure we achieve that. And that thing is called iteration plan / sprint plan / sprint backlog. I know a lot of words, but since there is no uniformity, there is no one framework which says this is what the agile speaking should be, we have to deal with these kind of confusions. Sprint and iterations are same for PMP exam. It's just a time box which is used for elaborating things in a given duration. So finally, deliverables / increment. So you can say the thing which you produce at the end of your time box, which can be evaluated, which can be consumed, which can be demonstrated. In our general project management language, we call it deliverable. But this is something in our general project management language, anything could be a deliverable. A document could be also a deliverable. In an agile language, the deliverable should be something which is working, which is software, which is consumable, which is something end product kind of stuff, small version of end product kind of stuff. And that we call it increment. We are saying it's an increment of our previously done work and we are added something on top of it, and this is something can be consumed, evaluated, and can be used for your future uses. So this was a small crash course on your artifacts. I know there are many artifacts which might come in the agile way of working. For example, there could be someone talk about Burndown chart. Somebody can say, oh, there is a definition of done also, definition of ready also. Those kind of stuffs can be there. But I believe too much will be, too many will be too much for us. These are generically seen. Other things may present in a non-artifact manner also. So not necessary to be as a stringent artifact, but these are usually used frequently in our project management space. I see some questions which are coming here. Okay, so that's something separate. Yeah. Okay, someone is turning something into something. So I think that's a little not relevant. Okay, so I don't understand your question. We can say any tool to help us manage roadmap. That's a nice question. So yes, most of your agile tools supports it. For example, in a Jira, you have a timeline plan. So you can see that many people use a Gantt chart equivalent thing also for that roadmap presentation. Yeah, but most of your agile tools gives you a view for preparing the roadmap. Yeah. Usually it's a placement of epics against the milestones. We show that this is how the big items will get done over a period of time, and we can see the whole picture of our future roadmap in a one go. Yeah. Okay. So another question coming is, so what do you do when the scope changes in between and how to respond? So for a PMP exam, I'm not talking about Scrum thing. Everyone has their own rules and all. So what is scope? Yeah, and what is requirement? In case of agile way of working, we don't create a big scope. Yeah. We create requirements. So product backlog is what? Collection of requirements, collection of the future work, collection of something which we want to do, not necessarily equivalent to scope. Yeah, that's the first thing. Now, do we create scope in our agile way of working? I'm talking on a PMP language. Not necessarily a document, not necessary, but we can have an understanding of it. So say when we start a sprint, we need to have an understanding of it, that what are we going to do in a given sprint or given iteration. Now, in a generic agile word, it is defined by two elements. One is your sprint backlog, we learn about it. There could be another element which call it sprint goal or iteration goal. So you set a goal and you create a sprint backlog out of it. And that's something you are expected to do. Then you start working for that particular duration, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever the iteration life cycle is. Now, generically assumed, if you keep in a time boxed manner of way of working, if you keep changing the targets for that 2 weeks duration itself, then people may get confused in between. So we focus on avoiding that particular stuff. We can say, let's not bring too many variations for that particular time. Once the time gets over, we will focus on it again, because we don't want to confuse people too frequently. That's the intention. Now, rest, I need to see the question. So in general, we tell that you should not be changing the goal. But does it mean I have a small new idea which I want to introduce in the ongoing story and I can't do it? The answer is definitely you can do it. Because if you go in a double click on a user story, we can say that user stories are expected to be negotiable. How long they are negotiable? They are negotiable till the time it is not done. Yeah. But negotiation doesn't mean that you will have a one-side negotiation. Whenever someone has an idea, we definitely want to work on it. Yeah. So that is something we can focus on. Lightning happening here. Looks like it's going to be a rocking day soon. Okay, so who is responsible for vision, roadmap, release plan, iteration plan, and what the project manager has to do? So in a PMP exam, it depends upon your understanding of that project. Yeah, there is no universal answer. That's the first thing we need to keep in mind. It all depends upon the options. But there is a very clarity. The vision and roadmap is owned by people who own the money, who own the direction. Yeah, that is the people. Now, if I see a product owner role there, I will definitely say the vision and roadmap is owned by the product owner. If I see the product owner role name is missing, then I will look for someone other high powerful person. Customer is a good name. I can say customer will own the vision and the roadmap because they are deciding where to put the money, where not to put the money. It's not like I will wake up in the morning as a project manager and says, I want to do this and I want to involve all my project and my team into doing this. Company will not allow me. So you can say vision and roadmap is definitely owned by the stakeholders, high level stakeholder. Product owner is a nice word in case you see that visible in your questions. Now, release plan is again owned by someone who owns the priority. Yeah, who can say this we will do in a given release, this we won't give in a given release. Yeah? Who can do it? A powerful guy, product owner. But product owner has to engage with the team because it requires estimations also. So it's a more engagement activity, but the ownership of the release plan, since the owner of that priority direction feature is the product owner / customer, they will own it. That's a simple thing. Now, what the project manager will do, project manager can facilitate, project manager can clarify. If there is a conflict between two stakeholders about a requirement, project manager can help them to come up with the agreement. Project manager can facilitate team doing right estimation and we reach to the release plan. Yeah, that is something any facilitative leader can do it, Scrum Master can also do it, and project manager can also do it. Yeah. If there is a dependencies related to the release plan, project manager can start tracking those dependencies as well. Now, iteration plan, we again go back to the basics. What is it? Iteration plan is something which we are planning for a given time box. Who is preparing it? The team who has to execute it. What it contains? The team level work plan. Yeah. So they only understands it. Nobody probably will be well understanding that particular thing. So it is owned by them. Yeah. So what is the role of a project manager? I make sure they own it. I make sure they can see it. I make sure they hold each other accountable for it. I make sure that they have a plan which is practical and they are sticking to it. So I facilitate, I feedback, I give all those guidance. This job can be done by Scrum Master also if we have that name visible, but that's the iteration plan / sprint plan / sprint backlog. Yeah, generally done that. So hopefully this answers and this also clarifies this artifact in a little bit more better manner. So what is the most effective way to handle incomplete requirements? We first need to identify they are incomplete as a project manager. What is incomplete requirement? Yeah? So that's a very important element to be understood from an agile perspective. So say the agile perspective is, when we start our work in a sprint planning meeting, we pick up a user story, and by the time we finish the sprint, the user story should be completed. Now, how do we define completion? We can have a requirement specific completion criteria defined as an acceptance criteria to a user story, and we can have a technical specific details which will be clearly making properly completion of the user story can be defined as a definition of done. That could be a generic. So if the user story is meeting the acceptance criteria and definition of done, it is called completed. If it is not meeting the acceptance criteria and definition of done, it is called not completed. Simple. Yeah. Now, what do we do with the not completed one? We need to figure it out. Yeah, we may drop the idea. We say this is a stupid idea. We thought it's a good idea, but it is taking too much time. I think we should not be working on it. Possible. We may drop it. Drop is the best thing to do if it is not a good idea. Yeah. So if it is something which is consuming more than anticipated before, and after looking at the consumption of the time, you realize it is not something which is ROI driven, you may want to drop it. Yeah. Or you may want to do it next. It's a very priority item. We just missed it doing it. But this is something urgent thing we need. We definitely continue working on it in the next sprint. We'll say we'll reschedule it. We'll do it. Yeah. The third thing is we may say great idea, but I think it took more than what we really wanted to do. But we have a more priorities coming in. Let's put it back into a product backlog. We'll see it next time. Yeah. So I can't say which one is right. It depends upon what is that requirement and what is the situation. Yeah. There could be some other alternatives also, but for simplicity's sake, these are the three prominently used alternative. And depending upon the context at hand, we need to do it. Yeah. Okay, so how do we bridge the gap between the technical and non-technical stakeholders? By making them understand each other. That's simple. Yeah. So what you learn in a PMP exam, when we talk about, we have a topic, we have a task, which is called create shared understanding about the project objective. So my role as a project manager to make people empathize with each other, make people understand each other language. Why? Because if I don't do it, I'm not going to succeed as a project manager. So I need to create better interaction amongst the stakeholder and the team. I need to create mentor-mentoring relationship. I may need to create training where both of them are present. I need to encourage my technical people to start learning about business domain. My business domain people, I so little bit understanding of technology, I need to explain them. And then as a tool, as we learn in our PMP exam, that you can use metaphors, you can use simplified languages to make technical things understandable to the stakeholders. So you use easy communication with the help of metaphors. You make empathy by way of making people interact with each other. You make them understand each other's personality. And by doing this, you create a common language which could be understood by different people. Yeah. But you don't take a shortcut. If things are not clear, you make sure you spend more time and people should understand what they are doing, and then only we go forward. Yeah. So one of the thing is, don't take shortcut. Don't say someone will explain it later, let's move forward. At least for exam, don't take it. Yeah. Okay, so another thing, I used to manage release plan and roadmap as a program manager in conjunction with the product owner and the development team. Great. Yeah. So see, exact roles and responsibility definitely depends upon your organizational context. Yeah, we can't universally say this is going to happen. We usually tell that we need to see all the options which are available and see the objective of that particular document. And based on that, we need to find out who should be the right owner. So we understand the roadmaps and these things are more priority driven, they are more end results driven. I need to involve the high power, high interest stakeholder, and I need to make them owning it. I can do the documentation work, I can do the data collection work, but they need to be owning it so that we can move forward with that. Yeah. So as per the Scrum, so I'm not teaching Scrum. Yeah, that's a simple thing. Yeah. So yes, Scrum will have 3 artifacts. Yeah, they will call product backlog, sprint backlog, and increment. Yes, perfect. Yeah, that's a good answer. Yeah, but in the agile way of working or in a project management way of working, you can use anything from anywhere. Yeah, that's the whole idea. But for Scrum way of working, these 3 artifacts are good as per your Scrum guide. For Scrum certification, you probably stick to these things only. Yeah. So this is interesting. Yeah. So artifact is equal to deliverable or a document or what? So it's a specific PMP exam question. If you are giving PMP exam, you must be clear about it. If this thing itself is confusing, we need to fix it. So what are the 3 high level type of artifacts we deal in our PMP exam? Yeah. 3. One is your plans. So you can say any plan you prepare is an artifact. So say you prepare release plan, it's an artifact. In a predictive life cycle, you prepare a project schedule, that's an artifact. You create a schedule management plan, risk management plan, that's also an artifact. So there are one planning kind of things which are artifact. Yeah, artifact. Another thing is documents. So say you go and write some minutes of the meeting, that's an artifact. Yeah? You have a risk log, that's an artifact. You have an impediment log, issue log, that's an artifact. Yeah? So these are all any documents you prepare is an artifact. Something which need to be maintained, which need to be kept somewhere safely is an artifact. You get an invoice from the vendor, which you need to store it somewhere, it's an artifact. Yeah, it's again an artifact. Now, a type of things you produce. So you produce a demo version, you demoed it. You want to make sure this demo version is kept somewhere carefully, because some point in time people will say, where is that version which you gave to us? Show me that. So any output, any deliverable you produce, that is also artifact. So in our project management language, anything which requires maintenance, anything which requires proper handling, need to be tagged properly, need to be retrieved at later stage. Only authorized people should be able to see it. Not anyone can see it. At any point in time, my manager comes and says, show me the report which you sent it to the management last week. I should be able to have a good artifact management systems which can give it. That's an artifact. So I will have an artifact management system where I will put all these artifacts. They may ask, oh, where was the vendor invoice? Where is the demo which we gave? What is the code for that last release which we made? I should have a system. I will give that particular artifact. So anything, any document, any plan, or any deliverable you produce is an artifact for our PMP language. Okay, so we move forward. There is another question. So how to prepare for a job description, and what does that mean? Excel in managing initiative, but also keep eye on big picture, and not to be afraid of afraid of updating the existing system and processes. I say nice English. Yeah, that's the whole thing. Yeah, but what I learn from it, everyone can have their own interpretation of it. But what I pick it from this English is that they are looking for a person who understand business language, who understand business strategy, who understand the overall direction, yeah, high level picture. So say, why are we making this particular carpooling app? What is the customer segment size? What is our target persona? What is the expected ROI? What are the high level hurdles we will get? So I have that business domain understanding. And that is why PMI introduced 8% business domain tasks to you. So you understand the outcome. As a project manager, need it. Now, understanding the big picture is good, but you need to get something done. Yeah? So you should have a mechanism of detailing out things as needed. So we can say, I have a big picture, but I am focusing on upcoming release. I get into the details of the upcoming release and we make it happen. Yeah? You should have an ability to execute things at an operational excellence level for an intermediate goal. And at the same time, you can see this intermediate execution has a goal which is getting tackled at a higher level. Now, when you are doing these things, you definitely follow the process as described by your organization. You follow your organization process guidelines, PMO guidelines all the time. But at the same time, you're always willing to challenge them. You're always looking for continuous improvement. It's not like, oh, for this work, we have to fill this form. We have to create this document. I will just create it. No. Yeah? You will always challenge. You can say, why do we need it? Do we have a better process for it? So you show that I have a mechanism, I have an attitude of doing continuous improvement. We challenge what we are doing, not as a that I will not follow this process, not like that. I will say, I will give a justification, I will propose a tailoring, and in agreement with you, we will reach to a stage and we will not follow something which is overhead for us. So all these abilities are generic project manager abilities. And these abilities you need to demonstrate in your PMP exam also. You need to say, yes, I understand the big picture, but I go with the process-driven approaches when I'm executing things. I keep my stakeholders clear about upcoming milestones. And it's not like something has been defined already and I just need to follow it. I keep challenging the status quo all the time. So all these 3 tasks are included in your PMP exam content outline. Okay, so interesting. I think we have covered good space till here. If you have anything further, do let me know. This is something I think we covered by now. If I'm missing something, please copy paste it again. So I can take your query again. Okay, so looks like we are settling down, and it was little a great thing. Yeah. Matrices are called deliverable? Not necessary. So what is deliverable? From our PMP language, we need to be very clear what is deliverable. Deliverable is something which will meet the customer requirements. Simple. So customer has something, customer wants to go to airport, I provide them a car as a deliverable and driver to support their movement. That's my deliverable and I will charge for it. So sometimes I give and which I will make money out of it, I will invoice it. That's a deliverable. Now what is a matrix? Matrix could be that, how many defects we got this week. Probably that's a matrix. Or are we on track or we have a 2 days delay? That's a matrix. Now, is this matrix becomes a deliverable? 99% time, no. 99% time, no. But there could be some matrices which could be compliance documentation. We can say, we need to get a health report of this particular project as a deliverable. Then there is a possibility of some report will go as a deliverable also. But any matrix you create, any report you create, that's an artifact which I need to maintain it. but it is not necessary. If you make money, if your invoice comes because you send a matrix to someone, then it's a deliverable for you. Yeah. But if it is just there and it remains in the inbox, then it is not a deliverable for you. Yeah. So I am not clear about heat map. Yeah, Paresh. So probably you want to explain, but I can talk about the critical path versus project plan. So project plan is something big, and critical path is a sequence of activities which will help us in finishing the project. The shortest duration we will take to finish the project, that will be your critical path. So what is critical path? It is used to identify how long we will take to finish the overall project. Yeah. We have a 10-20 activities. We need to sequence them so that we can identify how long it is going to take. In my PMP exam, I keep giving this example. Hopefully you probably recall that if you want to go for a say dinner and you have 3 people with you, so the critical path will help you identify how long it will take for us to come back after the dinner. I'm starting the whole process of starting from home, going, eating and coming back, how long it is going to take. Yeah. So if I try to arrange my activities based on the dependencies and all, and it helps me in finding that duration, that is a critical path. Now, project plan is a bigger thing. Project plan could be, in this particular case, about how much money I'm going to spend on the food, who all expected to go. Somebody may not like to go together. I probably need to give them a personal call. All these will be a part of project plan. Yeah. So how do you communicate about the upcoming dinner? How do you cost about it? How do you schedule it? Everything which helps you in having a successful evening with your given customer segment or a stakeholder segment, maybe a family member only. The whole plan is the project plan. Yeah? So that's there. I'm not clear about heat map. Probably there is something else. Most likely not a part of PMP exam content, but might be somewhere in other places. Some people say Burndown chart is an artifact from Agile perspective. Depending upon which framework, for PMP exam, we can definitely call it. Yes. So any report you produce, any metrics you produce, it's an artifact. Anything which can be felt, seen, need to be stored, need to be shared is an artifact. It could be a document, it could be a plan, it could be a deliverable. Yeah, that's definitely an artifact. For a PMP exam, it definitely comes under the category of artifact. For any Agile Scrum, you need to see, for example, Scrum does not recognize it as an artifact, but because it's not mandatory to create that, but you can have it. Yeah, if you have it, then it's there. It's not a mandatory artifact in case of Scrum way of working. Business case versus Gantt chart, they are very different, very different. So say Gantt chart is a visual representation of you do A, you do B, you do C, and you achieve D. Yeah, that's like thing. So I want to go for a dinner. I will start, I will drive, I will order, I will eat, I will come back, and showing that sequence of activity is a Gantt chart. That's a tool we can use to arrange those activities. That's it. Should you go for a dinner? Yeah. What is the benefit of going it? How much money you are going to spend? What is the deal expected to happen because of the dinner? That's a business case. You can say, should not you study about PMP exam rather than going for a dinner? So you are evaluating it. That's a business case. Yeah. So pretty different. So how do you identify potential risk that will impact the project? You keep looking at all the time. So in our risk management approach, you use risk identification technique. If you can take a reference from any PMBOK, you have identified risk as a process where you look at various possibilities and uncertainties. So what is risk? Anything which can go wrong, which may have an impact on your project. Uncertainties. So how do I know what are the uncertainties for today? I probably says what all assumptions I am making, what is happening in the market, what is happening in the industry. That all is uncertainties. Yeah. So we can say that we need to know about our things. I can look at a historical data, what wrong happened in the previous project. That also gives me an identification of what can go wrong. I can look at my current complaints, current issue logs, current stakeholder escalations. That also tells me what is going wrong. I can see various variances. Oh, our timelines are delayed. Whatever is happening in my project status reports helps me in identifying what might go wrong, may derail my project. Doing continuous scan of the external environment also helps me the political environment, the economical environment, the cost change, the exchange rate fluctuation also helps me identify the risk. So multiple parameters, yeah, are there. And this is something we need to see the question properly, but these all will help you in identifying the risk. So these are little different. Data flow, UML, since it's not related to project management, I'm not covering it, but I can only say the Gantt chart is not equal to data flow. Yeah, data flow is not like I will go and drive the car for 10 minutes. That's not a data flow. It's an activity. So Gantt chart is something, a tool which helps us in arranging our activities or steps we do in order to achieve project objectives. Yeah, it's an arrangement of scheduling activities. That much we can say. And that is something basic thing project managers should learn as they start doing project management. It's basically used in a predictive life cycle. Traditionally, when we call ourselves project manager, one of the skill people expect from us is ability to do project scheduling. Yeah, that something is needed. Okay, so lots of stuff. Let me see if I have missed something before. So how do you understand the methodologies and all? So most of the organization gives you a project lifecycle selection tool. You need to have an experience as a project manager to do a right lifecycle or approach selection. So say it may be a function of the type of work you are doing, the regulatory constraints you have, the geographical dispersed team you have, the team size you have, the clarity about the requirement, the uncertainty about technology. So all these factors put together helps you in identifying how should you design your project lifecycle. Don't assume the agile or predictive is the only choice. Even a predictive lifecycle, you can have a multiple variants. You may want to follow a predictive lifecycle for a 3 months project. You may want to follow a predictive lifecycle for a 1 year project. But both these predictive lifecycle may behave very differently. They may have a different set of documents. They may have a different set of milestones. Their project schedule will look very differently, the content of it. Yeah. So now, should I create 5 documents or should I create 50 documents? Maybe in a 3 months project, I will create 5 documents. That will be my artifacts and lifecycle. In a 1 year project, I may create 50 documents. That's why my organization will recommend it. So I need to demonstrate that I have an ability to understand the right approach we need to take to achieve our project objective. Now, why do we create documents? Why do we have a milestones? Why do we create deliverables? Why do we create artifacts? We do all this to achieve project objectives. We are just not doing because in X process, we need to have a 20 documents. Then I am not challenging the status quo. Yeah, that's the important thing. So I need to demonstrate that I follow tailoring. I understand how to do a project lifecycle selection. And this is how I demonstrate the overall work. Yeah, so that is something we can say here. Yeah. Okay, looks like a Gantt chart is becoming a popular topic. Yeah, probably we need to take a next class on Gantt chart only, but it is not that much checked in the exam nowadays, so probably not. So is it related to work breakdown structure? Indirectly, yes. So you can say that you have a big scope, you divide the scope into small manageable elements, work breakdown structure, and under that work breakdown structure, you create activities, also called tasks, and then you arrange those tasks based on their sequence, their constraints, their relationship with each other, and then you create a project schedule. Yeah. Now, a tool or a presentation you can use to create that project schedule could be called Gantt chart, because that's a good view to arrange it. You can have other activity diagrams also rather than using Gantt chart to visualize that. But it is a good bar chart which shows activity 1 will run from day 1 to day 10, then activity 2 will come from day 10 to day 15. So I will say bar 1, bar 2, bar 3, and I can say, okay, this is how I will go and this is how I'll finish the project. That presentation is Gantt chart presentation. Okay, so looks like a lot of ideas already done. I hope I have covered things. But if something I am missing, please repost it, because there has been few scrolls since I picked up the last question. Okay, pause for a while. If you have anything which can help us in exploring about PMP program, we can talk topics related to project management. They help you in getting better as a project manager as well as a PMP certification both. Yeah, so objective is we cover both the ideas. Okay, looks like we are settling down and I don't see any new question coming in. Yes, sometimes it takes time to reach the question to me, even if you post it, but looks like it's covered by now. Just checking if I can get something. Okay, looks like we are done for today, and we'll pick some topic for the next session. If you have any suggestion, you can probably put it as a comment in our YouTube about the next topic suggestion related to PMP. I'm this particular PMP prep power hour. I want to keep it focused on the certification exam. But yes, all project management topics are directly, indirectly related to PMP. So we can definitely take them. So if you have any suggestion, please suggest. We will take it forward. Now, how is the market for project managers? I think market is challenging for every role, but there is a space for demonstrating competency and we can find space for ourselves in a challenging thing. But yes, that's my observation. But yeah, we have to build our competency more and more whenever the market becomes challenging. And it's a challenging. So I think the bar and expectations are increasing significantly. So we need to demonstrate more and more proficiency in our skills. Yeah. And that's why I see many of our clients are doing PMP. They want to position themselves in a better manner for upcoming professional challenges. Yeah. Great. So thank you everyone for your participating. Yeah. Okay, there is a question. Yeah. Is it mandatory to know fancy project management tools like Jira, Confluence, or Asana? So say you are interviewing someone, yeah, and you ask him, how do you manage tasks? And the person tells, I put it in Excel file. Okay, what feeling you get? You may get a feeling, probably they don't have much complicated work. They may be 5-10 people and they can manage it through Excel file only. Or somebody will say, we don't maintain anything, we just call each other and get the things done. We have a WhatsApp group to maintain our tasks. Now, I'm not saying it's bad. It can work. Yeah? But many a time when people want to see, oh, but our organization, we have a distributed teams. And we usually do a lot of work asynchronous manner. We want to make sure who is doing what, where things are getting stuck. We want to have some tracking of what we have achieved in the previous month. So do you have some experience of work management system? And as soon as I say yes, then it demonstrates that I am dealing something which is complicated and I'm working in a structured environment. And because of that reason, I think one who is working with more than 10 people team should go beyond Excel sheet, should go beyond Google Sheet. Now, it is not necessary to be a Jira or Asana only. It could be ClickUp, it could be something else, it could be anything. Yeah, Azure DevOps, it could be Zoho, it could be anything. Yeah, because all of these tools are similar. More or less, they gives you a mechanism to manage your work. Yeah, that is something is all the time needed. So I think it gives a weightage to your profile, and if that is missing, and in the interview, it may make the other person thinks you might not be the right candidate for that job. May. Now, AI is not there in PMP. So yeah, AI, I have made some separate videos, but not yet for PMP. So we need to focus on project management. We still need a human intelligence as of now. So that's something we are not talking. Yeah. Okay, so would be having both Scrum Master, Project Manager certification create a potential conflict with the requirement of the roles? I would say what kind of role people are looking for. If you, as we keep saying, what is PMP certification? PMP certification is demonstration of I know how to work in a project way of working. Now, without using Agile or anything else, do you work in a project manner? Or are you looking for a jobs where you do project way of working? If the answer is yes, then actually you will do your Scrum role inside the project boundary, which is not as per the Scrum guide. You will say, in my company, Scrum Masters are not as per the Scrum guide. They are different because we follow, we have a contract, we have a billing, we have a external stakeholders, we have our own complication. It is just not a long-lived team which is dedicated to a one line and I don't have to plan anything beyond a sprint. It is not like that. So that is something, if I am working in that environment, I see a lot of requirements where they are saying, you need to know Agile and Scrum, but you need to apply it in a project context. A lot of our customers who are doing PMP are basically targeting that skill only, that I can work in any manner, but I can make the project objectives delivered. But if you are working in a pure Agile organization, which is solution oriented, which is a business line oriented, say you are working in a bank and you are maintaining the applications for the bank and you are there for next 10 years and your product line is going like this, you all are organized in a release train manner, then definitely you don't need a PMP. Then you probably focus more on learning about bank, learning about domain, learning about how the continuous flow works, because you are not working in a project mode. So we need to see, if you are working in a service organization who is doing work for someone else, then definitely you work in a project mode, and most likely you work in a project manner, and you as a leader is expected to learn project management. That's something we can say is. So how do you prioritize your task? I think we made a video on our interview question. So please see how do you manage your priorities for yourself and all. I think we have a detailed video about it. So I recommend try it out. I think episode 3 or something. So the PMP exam, so sorry, project manager interview prep series has that particular video. So another question is coming, if I apply for a project manager job, I see organizations are looking for technical knowledge. The answer is yes, it's possible. So you see, not all project manager roles are same. The organizations which are looking for tactical team level leadership type of project manager role, because they want you to do more team leadership, they will look for empathetic approach for the team members, understanding of technology. They probably not look for expertise in technology, but they will look for the people who are little hands-on so they can work well with the team. That's a one team-oriented role. The role which are more business-oriented role, which is less to do with the team. You have a team which can take care of themselves. You have a team leaders also in your organization, but you need to work with a complex stakeholder. You need to ensure integration. You need to work in the external boundaries. Those organizations will look for business domain skills. But definitely, if I say I'm a project manager, I can do project scheduling, I can identify risk, maybe there are no taker for me. People will not hire me just for my pure project management skills. They will hire me if I demonstrate business management skills or I demonstrate something else. So usually in our observation, I see the two dimensions. The people who are more at a technical level, they keep project management plus technological skills to move forward. There are people who have moved away from that area. They started doing big project management. They focus on business strategy understanding, business domain understanding, business analysis type of thing along with project management. So they start focusing on customer area. So you decide you want to focus more on customer or you want to focus more on team, but just doing project management may not help you much in a today's competitive environment for our job profiles. My observation, your observation could be different. I'm not saying it's a universal truth. You need to see various profiles, but based on my interaction and my experience, I'm sharing it. Do validate. That's something one should do for all my answers, not something which is perfectly right. Okay, so thank you everyone for active participation today, and we had a variety of topics: Jira, jobs, project manager, and etc. etc. So do join us next Friday, same time, same platforms. Yes, the links will get published in a while, and I will pick up a topic from our PMP inventory and put it here for all of you to review. See you next week. Thank you. We have another question. If an organization pushes for a specific methodology, which one would you be as a PM disagree how to refuse to without impacting relationship? I just don't refuse. I just don't refuse. I will say I will follow it, because all methodology has a tailoring. I will say, as per your methodology, I need to change this. You change it. Yeah. So you accept and you focus on, we want to do this, and this is creating a problem for us. Let's find a better way. Yeah, I think that's a better way of doing, rather than saying I don't like this methodology. All methodologies are great, and none of the methodology produce success. Success produced by us as an execution team, not by methodologies. So the sharing is happening. Organizations are looking for dual roles, project manager, scrum master. At times, I feel interview himself is not clear. I have been seen organization having agile release train using SAFe, but still have a PM, scrum master. How do we the structure organization facing such interview? We don't know. We need to observe it. Yeah. So what might happen is SAFe can be implemented in the bank. But SAFe can also be, the bank might be also involving a service organization to do a part of the work. So some amount of SAFe is going to that vendor also. Now vendor need to manage project also. So vendor will say, for my team, you need to have a project manager, scrum master, and scale knowledge, SAFe knowledge, all three. Yeah. But if I'm directly looking for a bank, probably they will not look for a project management thing. So it depends what is the business, what they are doing, what mixing they are doing. It also relates to the Paresh questions before. All things are good, provided they help us in achieving project objectives. Now interview, I navigate question by question, because interviewer himself has his own idea of things. Yeah, so difficult to predict that. Okay, I pause. Yeah, in case before I start closing again, and then we take another question. Yeah, I pause for 30 seconds. If nothing comes up, we close. Okay, so thank you everyone for your active participation. See you next week, same time, same platform. Thank you everyone.